Obviously elephant in the room, decision to enter the portal, what you were looking for, and what led you back to Florida.
Yes, sir. So my biggest thing was, obviously I was back home at the time. It was just make sure I'm making the right decision for me and my family. It was a lot easier being back home, and having access to my family for the guidance. But the biggest thing for me was making sure I was making the right decision for, firstly me and my family, and then, just going through the process, weighing everything out, and then, truly making like an educated decision.
So what led you to go when you go home? You talk it over with your family. Mm-hmm. What were some of the factors why you were still open to returning to Florida and didn't make a decision to head elsewhere?
Yes, sir. So firstly, it was, it's a new staff. There's a lot of things that come with that, and it was just uncertainty. That was the biggest thing that drove me to make that decision. And then just going over everything, obviously I had the in-home visit where they came out, but I was up here before I went back home for break, but there was FaceTime calls. We had a Zoom call going over the playbook and all that, and that's just kind of drove it home for me. Florida's a place where I want to be.
Was it important when they showed up on the plane? Did that, that maybe just to show you how much they wanted you?
Yes, sir.
And then take that trip?
Definitely, I'd say that's definitely a piece, but the biggest thing for me was how they interacted with me and my family. We barely talked about football when they were there, and that was the biggest thing for me. They really got to know my family. Coach Summerall said my grandpa's still sending him pictures of the meals that he cooks, so I know the relationship's good. So just knowing that it was genuine and it was relationship driven, that was the biggest piece for me.
How does that happen? Does he say, hey, we're going to fly in?
Yeah. So it was planned the week before. It was kind of just like, would you be open to us coming down? I'm like, yeah, for sure. And then it's just, does this day work? And they say, yeah, it works. And then just set it up and it happens.
How was your visit to Texas?
It was a good visit. It's great people over there, for sure. It's great people. They got great things going on. That's all I got to say. It was great. And then it helped me make a more in-depth decision, because obviously I've been here before. So being there and again to compare the two places, it made the decision a lot easier for me.
How close did you come to going there?
I would say I stayed pretty even, to be honest. Like I didn't sway back and forth either way, because I feel like I'm not, I'm grown, but I'm not a full-grown adult. You know what I'm saying? So I don't want to react off emotions. So I kind of stayed out of it and kind of just observed everything. And when I made my decision, I feel like that helped me grow up a little bit because I know how to make a big decision now on my own.
And it was no secret that Texas was also interested in the other Jayden. Did you guys ever talk about that and just, that this powerhouse is coming after, both of you guys?
Surprisingly, no. We kind of just left each other alone. You know what I'm saying? Went through our processes because, you know what I'm saying. You don't want to, just talk and stuff gets messy. Kind of just stayed separate and worked through our own processes.
So Miles did call you?
Yeah, I talked to Miles. Yeah.
What were those combos like? Was he on you hard? Was he giving you your space, or
Nah,
he saying like you can't leave me?
Everybody was giving me my space. I feel like I tried to be as genuine as possible. It wasn't a money decision. It wasn't anything like that. Like it was truly making sure that it's the best decision for me and my family. So Miles, he saw that, he respected it. He was pretty. He was I could tell he was holding back a little bit, but he was good throughout the whole process. He was somebody I could ask questions about too, like what do you think about this person, stuff like that. So he was a good piece for me when I was back home over break.
Jay, during all that, you spent some time with Washington.
Yes, sir.
Did you know that he had been the head coach here?
I did. Yes, sir.
What did he have to say about Florida? Did that never come up?
Yeah. So the one thing about them is they never badmouth Florida. That was a good thing that I noticed. He only had good things to say. It's a good program. And that. So, but Will Muschamp as a person, he was a great person to meet. And, sit down and go over football with. So, yeah, he was great to meet with.
Who are some other guys other than Miles that you talked to from the team during that decision?
Yeah, I'd say Miles Johnson. We play the game together, PS5. So we were just on the game and just having a casual conversation about it. But say him, Aaron Childs. I say really those three. It's really those three. Me and Miles, we have a little war going on in UFC, back and forth. He's probably tell you he's beating me right now, which he is, but it's fun. It's fun to play with him.
You've taken to the new strength and conditioning program pretty well. What do you attribute that to?
Yes, sir.
In terms of your work ethic and being in the shape that you're in right now?
I'd say firstly just buying in. That's the first thing for me is just be all in. Don't be half in, half out. And then the biggest thing for me was trying to be more of a leader and set the example. So that was the big thing for me. Be more vocal and get other guys to come along.
When they make the effort they did to bring you here or bring you back, does that kind of add some fuel to you?
The offer,
Well, I mean, they're making a real effort and investment
Yes,
in
sir.
you. I mean, it's like, you gotta live up to that, right?
Yes, sir. I say to an extent. I mean, at the end of the day, it's money. I wouldn't say I touch.
I'm just saying, they made this effort to get you.
Yes, sir.
So
Wait,
you're
so
coming
you got
here
something
with-
to say?
But you're coming here, like, you gotta prove yourself, right? I mean, these guys are going out,
Yeah,
like,
I would.
targeting you and saying, we need you to,
Oh, yes, sir. Yes, sir. I see what you're saying. I would say yes. Some people look at it like you got to prove yourself, but I feel like I kind of approach that way of saying like, I just got to show what I already am. So just trying to show up and be the best I can every day. There's a quote back from my high school. Coach Appleby he used to say it was, the biggest compliment you can pay me is that I show up the same every day. That's all I try and do. I try and be consistent and just show up the same and work every day.
The change from 15 to 0, what went into that? Where
Yes,
you
sir.
have a 0?
Yes, sir. So my dad, he'd always tell me growing up to never get too high, never get too low, always stay consistent. 0 to me represents staying grounded, staying consistent. I got to attribute that to my dad.
What stands out to you about Coach Harmon's coaching style, and does he ever talk about, his time in Florida, some of his, achievements here?
No, he's very hands-on. I noticed he was wearing cleats today, which I thought was kind of interesting. So he's definitely hands-on, which I love. He's in the drills. I joked I tried to get him in the drill to go against him, but he didn't hop in. But he's very, very hands-on. That's what I love. Like he's in it. Like he won't ask you to do anything that he won't do himself.
Your dad's name, and did he play football, or what kind of football influence was he?
Yes, sir. My dad's name was Jayden Woods. He played at Kansas State for a year. Then he went to Fort Scott and then finished off at Pitt State.
And what kind of influence was he on you, kind of growing up in terms of the game and so forth?
Yes, sir. He was a big influence for sure. I would say, he even told me this growing up. His biggest thing was that he showed me what not to do, because he had his troubles throughout his college career. So growing up, that was always instilled in me, just pretty much do the opposite of what he did to an extent. He was a hard worker. He had a great career. But, he was a great mentor for me growing up.
Jayden Ball decided to re-sign with Florida the day that they were coming out to see you. Did that factor into your decision at all? Did the whole Fab Five thing, was that ever a conversation of trying to get all you guys back?
To be honest, no. It didn't really factor into my decision. I would say it was a cool thing to see, though. Like, Ball's back, like that's cool. But I tried to really, analyze the situation for what it was and not let the outside pieces factor into the decision.
Go ahead.
How did Derek Wingo help you through all this?
He helped me a ton. He stayed very unbiased, which I appreciate a ton. He was very, like he presented me the information and then just take it for what it is. He never tried to push or sway anything, which I love. I love that.
How important is it for the program, and maybe even for Coach Summerall, to get the Fab Five, Big Five, whatever you want to call it, to get all of you guys back to maybe lead this thing moving forward?
Yes, sir. I'd say the biggest thing, is the leadership role for sure. All 5 of us taking a leadership role, and bringing other guys along too. I would say though, like it's not just us 5. Like a lot of guys are leading though too, and there's a lot of good players too that are leading as well, which has been great. Especially seeing it today in practice, it was really good too.
You mentioned all these guys who talked to you as you were making your decision, and they really didn't push you and stayed unbiased. Was there anyone who maybe pushed you the most to come back to Florida, and who would you say had the biggest influence on your decision to return?
Yeah, to be honest, no, nobody really pushed me, to be honest, which I was really thankful for. For saying what person drove me back the most, honestly, I'd have to say, I'd probably say, honestly, when I prayed on it, that was probably the biggest thing for me. Like, when I prayed on it, me and my family, we were in the front room right after Florida left. And when we all prayed as a family, obviously I went upstairs, was on my own, it kind of just like clicked for me, like I can see what path God is showing me, what path the Lord wants to lead me on, and that's the biggest thing that drove me. Like, okay, I'm gonna trust in that decision and roll with it.
What was Coach Summerall's and Coach Harmon's reactions when you told them that you were coming back?
Yes, sir. They were pretty excited. I made sure to FaceTime them. I was at top speed getting a workout in and FaceTime them. Told them, yeah, it was good. It was good to see their reactions. It was good. It was a good time.
What do you think the future holds for you in terms of on the field? I mean, obviously you flashed here and there, played better down the stretch. Do you feel like, you're going to maybe make a big jump this year or have that ability?
Yes, sir. That's the goal, of course. The biggest thing for me is, like, I'm going to put my head down. I'm going to work as hard as I can every day, and whatever happens in the fall happens. Football doesn't owe you anything. You could work as hard as you want, as long as you want. You could get absolutely nothing. So my biggest thing, I'm going to put as much as I can into the game. Whatever it gives back to me, I'm going to be grateful for it.
What do you think of Summerall's energy out on the practice field today, and have you ever had a coach like that?
No, yeah, it's awesome. The energy is definitely different for sure. I'm more so used to calm coaches. Like my high school coach is a little bit calmer. Our previous coach is a little bit more calmer. You know, that's what I've been used to. But seeing someone with the energy, that was awesome to see.
Do you anticipate them having you drop into coverage a little bit more this season? And have you tried to work on that aspect of your game?
I'm not for sure. You know, I'm pretty sure that'll be like a game-to-game, week-to-week type of thing. But that's definitely something, you know, versatility is the biggest thing. That's something that I factored into my decision a ton, too, is how versatile can I be. So, you know, I want to work on all aspects of my game, but especially coverage, too.
What gains did you make this offseason and just body comp-wise, and did you set any new PRs?
So my biggest thing was, like, I would say last year I was pretty mobile, but I wasn't strong in those, like, deep mobile positions. So that was the big thing for me, was being strong in those, like, deep stretch positions as, like, bending the edge and stuff like that. And then, sorry, I forgot the second half of your question.
And then did you set any new PRs as far as bench or squat or anything?
My bench, I'd say it went up. I never hit 315 for, I believe it was 4. With close grip, I've never done that before. So Coach Witt, yeah, that's credit to Coach Witt. I say power clean, I didn't truly max out this offseason, but I touched 355. And then back squat, it was speed goals. So I think the highest I touched, it was like 510 for 2, which I think was on Coach Witt's Instagram.
What was it like going against skill players in the gauntlet and for the staff to match you up against those guys?
No, yeah, I love it. Coach White talked about that. He was like, we were in a D unit meeting, and he was just like, you know, if you're a true competitor, like, it doesn't matter who you're going against. Like, if it's a whatever you want to call it, not fair matchup, you know, you can't control factors like that in the game. So I'm gonna just go out there and compete. Whoever it's against is whoever I'm going against.
I heard you won most of your one-on-ones. Was there anybody that beat you?
Yes, sir. VB3.
What was that one-on-one like?
Oh man, it was great. It was great because it required every single rep to be 100%, and that's exactly what I wanted. Like, if I wanted to beat him, it would have to be 100% all out, and that's something that especially I need this year for sure, is to be able to go all out, play after play after play. So I definitely got to credit VB to that. You know, he kept me up to that standard all year. You know, it was just awesome competing against him.
Did you almost beat him?
I wouldn't say almost. The last one, I believe it was 10-12. I lost. It's based off of the reps, so I lost 10-12. So I was pretty upset about that for a day, but I was like, all right, it's time to play football anyway. So.
Going back to Derek Wingo, was he crushed it all when you switched your number?
I don't know. I actually haven't spoken to him. I just talked to him last night, and that didn't come up. So hopefully not. I don't think so. Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
There's an open QB competition. Media, fans, they're so caught up in it. How's the team taking this? I'm not asking you to tell us who you think's going to win or their favorite is, but kind of what's the mindset? You're one of the stars of the team. How are you guys approaching an open QB competition? As it is such an important position.
To be honest, it's not affecting the team at all. You know, both guys would be great candidates for the job, and both guys are great leaders too. That's what we all appreciate. Like, you'll see both guys being vocal. Both guys are competing in workouts. You know, that's all you can ask for. So, you know, whoever ends up winning it, you know, that's the man for the job. But I feel like we're comfortable no matter what.
Coach Witt was saying there are not many edge guys going against receivers and something like the gauntlet. How do you think that can translate for you on the field?
Yes, sir. I would say, you know, it's an agility gauntlet, so speed and change of direction and all that. And then, you know, most importantly for me, like I said earlier, like, it's the gas tank that I want. Like, I want to be able to go out there, long drives, drive after drive, and just keep going. So, like I said earlier, you know, being able to go 100% all out every rep just because, you know, I want to beat him. Like, in the moment, it's for the competition, but, like, I know in the long run, like, it's just going to keep making my tank bigger and bigger for games. VB, no, Kanye Clark. We went up against each other twice. He got me once. So yeah, him, Kanye Clark, and VB.
I asked you about the hair, but I was kind of serious. I mean, when did you get that mindset about, like, I got to grow up a little bit, be a little more mature, take a leap as a sophomore? Is that your mindset right now? And when did you kind of start embracing that?
Well, obviously you guys wouldn't notice it because we were in season and I have a helmet on. But I did it after the Mississippi State game on the bye week. You know, I was kind of at a point. That was about mid-season. I think it was a little bit after mid-season, but kind of just the point where it's like I just need to grow up, basically. So cut it all off. And the fact it was hot too. And like I had a lot of hair coming out the back of my helmet. I was like, you might as well just cut it off now and start fresh. So I've just been keeping it short, and it's kind of just been my go-to.
What led to that mindset? I mean, you're playing a ton as a freshman. You could say you physically are more mature than where a lot of guys are your age. What kind of led you to be like, it's time to grow up a little more?
The biggest thing for me was like as the season went on, my biggest goal was just to keep getting better and better every week. And I felt like, the haircut was kind of just taking like the next step. Like, okay, like it's time to transition. It's time to grow up. It's time to, start handling things like a true pro. Like not to say that I wasn't before, but just just keep making progress. That was the biggest thing for me.
What's your phone look like when player like you jumps in the portal? Does it blow? I mean, does it like really blow up?
It really does. It's like random phone calls, random numbers. I don't think I didn't go on any social media for like a couple days. It would get to the point I would legit just leave my phone in another spot and I would be somewhere else. Like I would leave my phone downstairs, I'll be upstairs. It's just phone calls, all that, text messages from random numbers. But I would say you could say it's stressful, you could say it's like annoying some people, but at the end of the day, it's still a blessing. Like people want you, people want you to come play for them. So I don't see it as a bad thing. I might get a little annoyed here and there, but of course, I see it as a blessing.
How many people did you actually talk to? How many coaches? Do you have any idea?
There were a couple numbers where it was like the ID, where it's like the location. So I don't know if it's I don't know who it is. So I probably answered like 2, and then after I answered 2, I was like, okay, I'm gonna let Wingo handle the rest of it. I was done. That was the first day I went into the portal, so I was done. It's probably about 2. That was it.
That actually was coaches when you answered it?
Yes, sir, it was.
What was Texas' reaction when you told them you were staying with Florida?
They were really respectful about it. They respected my decision. They asked me why. I told them my reasons, and they were like, that's a good reasons. So they respected it. It was good. No bridges were burned, of course, and it was good to work through that process with them.
Still a young guy, but how do you take on that leadership role this year as kind of a main contributor?
Yeah. So back in high school, I don't know if you guys know the name, Mike Eckler, when he was at Tennessee, came to my high school and he asked me, what kind of leader am I? And I told him I'm a lead by example type of guy. And he was like, well, that's wrong. That's just doing what you're supposed to do. And so I've been hearing his voice a lot this offseason because the biggest thing for me was being more vocal. And I feel like I've been doing a lot better this offseason, especially as I get the opportunity to do it on the practice field now. So transitioning it from the gauntlet, the weight room, onto the practice field has been awesome.
How was the first day of camp today compared to last year as a freshman?
I say it was awesome. So I felt like my head wasn't spinning. Last year, the first day, it's kind of like lights are flashing and everything's everywhere. So today I felt like, I was just here, like I was where my feet were. Just took it each period at a time, and it felt a lot more calmer today.
Appreciate you.
Thanks, Jay.
Thank you guys.